The black void of space stretched endlessly in all directions. Commander Vex sat in his command chair aboard the scout ship Bright Wing, watching the scanner display with growing interest. His 3 eyes blinked in sequence as the readings updated. "Commander, we have detected an unknown vessel," reported the sensor officer. "It appears to be drifting near the boundary markers." Vex leaned forward. In his 40 cycles of service with the collective, he had encountered 17 different species. Most were peaceful traders. A few were primitive and easily dominated. None had ever posed a real threat. "Show me," he ordered. The main screen flickered to life. A gray ship floated in the distance, its hull marked with strange symbols. The vessel was smaller than Vex's flagship, but larger than their scout ships. Odd protrusions jutted from its surface at seemingly random angles. "Analysis?" Vex asked. "The design is inefficient, Commander," the science officer reported. "Their energy output is minimal. They appear to be running on basic fusion drives. We estimate their technology level to be at least 200 cycles behind ours." Vex's mandibles clicked together in amusement. Another primitive species stumbling into space. The collective would make contact, offer them membership, and expand their territory. It was always the same pattern. "Send the standard greeting," Vex commanded. "Let them know they have entered collective space." The communication pulse went out. Vex waited. He had 4 other scout ships with him, more than enough to handle any situation. The collective had not faced a serious military threat in 300 cycles. Aboard the TNS Iron Wolf, alarms began to sound. "Captain Blake, we have 5 unknown contacts approaching our position," Lieutenant Ross announced from the weapons station. "They just hit us with some kind of energy pulse." Captain Blake set down his coffee mug and walked to the center of the bridge. He was a man of 50 years, with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen too many battles. The Iron Wolf was on routine patrol, far from any conflict zones. They had been checking navigation beacons when the contacts appeared. "What kind of pulse?" Blake asked. "Not sure, sir. Could be a scan. Could be communication. Could be a weapon charging." Blake studied the tactical display. 5 small ships, moving in formation. Their design was unlike anything in the Terran database. "Red, are you seeing this?" Blake asked the ship's artificial intelligence. "Confirmed, Captain," Red replied in its measured voice. "Unknown vessel class. Unknown origin. They are maintaining weapons range." Pilot Hayes turned from her station. "Sir, should I move us to a defensive position?" "Not yet," Blake said. "Let's see what they want. Hail them on all frequencies." The communication officer worked quickly. "Sending now, Captain." They waited. 30 seconds passed. Then a minute. "Sir, they're moving closer," Ross reported. "Range now 12,000 kilometers." Blake frowned. That was well within weapons range for most ships. Either these visitors were confident, stupid, or both. "Sir," Ross shouted suddenly. Energy spike from the lead ship. "They're firing." A bolt of blue plasma streaked past the Iron Wolf, missing by less than a kilometer. The bridge lights flickered as the near miss disrupted their shields. Was that a warning shot? Hayes asked, her hands already moving the Iron Wolf into an evasive pattern. "I don't care what it was," Blake said, his voice turning cold. "Battle stations. All hands to combat positions. Ross, lock weapons on that lead ship." "Aye, sir." Targeting solution acquired. The Iron Wolf came alive. Weapon ports opened along its hull. Missile tubes loaded automatically. Point defense systems activated. The gray warship that had seemed so clumsy moments ago transformed into something deadly. "Sir, they're charging weapons again," Ross reported. "Multiple contacts. All 5 ships are powering up." "Fire," Blake ordered. The Iron Wolf spoke with the voice of Earth. Railguns accelerated, tungsten slugs to a fraction of light speed. Missiles erupted from launch tubes, their drives burning bright in the darkness. Laser batteries tracked and fired in perfect coordination. The lead alien ship simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next it was an expanding cloud of debris. The railgun slug had punched straight through its shields and hull. Second target locked. Fire. Another ship exploded as 3 missiles found their mark. The alien vessels scattered, trying to escape, but they were too slow. The Iron Wolf had been built for war. Every system, every weapon, every piece of armor had been designed by a species that had been fighting itself for 10,000 years. A third alien ship took a direct hit from the laser batteries. Its engines exploded, sending it spinning into the void. Remaining contacts are retreating. Ross announced. They're running at maximum speed. Let them go, Blake ordered. Stand down from battle stations. I want full damage reports. The bridge crew worked silently. Hayes brought the Iron Wolf to a stop. Ross secured the weapon systems. The communication officer tried again to send messages to the retreating ships. Sir, Red said, I have analyzed the encounter. Those vessels were scout ships, lightly armed. They likely expected us to be an easy target. Blake nodded slowly. He walked back to his chair and picked up his coffee mug. It was still warm. Poor bastards, he said quietly. They just wanted to say hello. They picked the wrong ship to do it. Orders, sir? Hayes asked. Send a message to command, Blake said. Tell them we just made first contact. Tell them it went badly. And tell them we're probably going to need backup. He took a sip of coffee and stared at the tactical display. 2 alien ships were fleeing into deep space, running for their lives. Somewhere out there, they would report what they found. And somewhere out there, someone would have to decide what to do about humanity. Blake hoped they would choose peace, but the Iron Wolf would be ready either way. Asterisk. The warning ignored Commander Vex stood before the High Council, his body trembling. The chamber was massive, with seats rising in circles around the central speaking platform. Hundreds of council members watched him with their multiple eyes. You claim this unknown species destroyed 3 of our ships? Council Leader Tarn asked, his voice full of doubt. Yes, Council Leader, Vex replied. Their weapons are beyond anything we expected. Their ship was faster, stronger, and more heavily armed than our intelligence suggested. Tarn's mandibles clicked in dismissal. You encountered a single warship and lost 3 scouts. This sounds like poor tactics, Commander Vex. With respect, Council Leader, you did not see what I saw. That ship was built for one purpose only, war. These beings are dangerous. Dangerous? Another council member laughed. Commander, the collective has encountered 43 species. Not one has posed a military threat. These humans are probably just defending their territory. We should send a proper fleet and show them the strength of the collective. They will submit like all the others. Vex wanted to argue more, but he knew it was useless. The collective had been the dominant power in this region for centuries. They had forgotten what real war looked like. I recommend caution, Vex said quietly. Your recommendation is noted, Tarn said. You are dismissed, Commander. We will handle this situation. 3 days later, Admiral Krell sat in his command chair aboard the battleship Dawn of Victory. Behind him, 14 other ships formed a battle group. It was the largest fleet the collective had assembled in 50 cycles. All ships report ready, Admiral, his second officer announced. Krell nodded with satisfaction. This would be a quick operation. They would find this human ship, disable it, and capture the crew. Then the humans would learn to respect the collective. Take us in, Krell ordered. Standard battle formation. The fleet jumped into the sector where Vex had encountered the humans. Sensors immediately detected contacts. "Admiral, we have 4 ships in the area," the sensor officer reported. "One matches the description of the vessel Commander Vex encountered. 3 others are nearby? Only 4? Krell laughed. "They send 4 ships to face 15? These humans are either very brave or very foolish." On the bridge of the Iron Wolf, Captain Blake studied the incoming fleet with concern. "That's a lot of ships," Hayes said quietly. "Red, status on our reinforcements?" Blake asked. "The Steel Rain, Thunder, and Hammer are all in position, Captain," the AI responded. "All 3 captains are awaiting your orders." Blake activated the fleet channel. "All ships, this is Blake. We don't know if these visitors are here to talk or fight. Hold defensive positions. Do not fire unless fired upon." "Understood," came the replies from the other 3 Terran captains. Blake tried one more time to communicate with the alien fleet. He sent messages in every format Red could generate. Mathematical sequences, pictures, simple greetings. There was no response. "Sir, the alien fleet is spreading out," Ross reported. "They're trying to surround us." "Tactical formation Delta," Blake ordered. "All ships form up. Prepare for combat." The 4 Terran warships moved into a tight diamond pattern. It was a formation they had practiced 1,000 times against other human fleets. Aboard the Dawn of Victory, Admiral Krell smiled. They clustered together like frightened animals. "All ships, prepare to fire. Target the center vessel first." The collective fleet opened fire. Plasma bolts and energy beams lanced across space toward the human ships. The Terran vessels responded instantly. Their point defense systems activated, shooting down incoming missiles. Their shields absorbed plasma hits. And then they returned fire. Asterisk. The difference was like comparing a knife to a chainsaw. Railguns fired continuously, each shot powerful, enough to crack a planet. Missiles with nuclear warheads streaked toward alien ships. Laser batteries tracked multiple targets simultaneously. The Steel Rain alone carried enough firepower to level a continent. The first 3 collective ships exploded in rapid succession. Admiral Krell watched in horror as his fleet was torn apart. "Evasive maneuvers." He screamed. "All ships scatter." But it was too late. The Terran ships moved with precision, their crews working with the efficiency of veteran warriors. They split targets, covered each other, and pressed the attack without mercy. "Sir, we've lost 7 ships." Krell's officer shouted over the alarms. 9 more are damaged." "How is this possible?" Krell demanded. "They are only 4 ships." Another explosion lit up the view screen as a collective cruiser was cut in half by concentrated fire. "Admiral, we must retreat." His second officer pleaded. Krell's pride warred with his survival instinct. He had brought 15 ships against 4 and was losing badly. "All ships retreat," he finally ordered. "Emergency jump now." The surviving collective vessels turned and fled. 5 ships managed to activate their jump drives and escape. The rest were debris. Admiral Krell's ship was among those that escaped, but barely. Its hull was breached in 3 places, and half the crew was dead. On the Iron Wolf, Blake watched the alien ships flee. "Damage report," he ordered. "Minor hits to shields, sir," Ross reported. "Hull integrity at 98%. No casualties." Blake looked at the debris field where 10 alien ships had died. "Send a message on all frequencies. Tell them we want peace. Tell them this doesn't have to continue." "Sending now, sir," the communication officer replied. But Blake knew the truth. The aliens had come looking for an easy conquest. Instead, they had found something they didn't expect. They had found humans. And humans were very good at war. Asterisk. The High Council chamber was silent. Every member watched the battle footage for the third time. The holographic display showed the massacre in perfect detail. 15 ships reduced to 5 in less than 10 minutes. Council leader Tarn's voice was hollow. Play it again. The part where their weapons activate. The technician replayed the sequence. The human ships transformed in seconds from peaceful vessels to engines of destruction. Every movement was coordinated. Every shot was precise. There was no hesitation, no confusion. They fight like they have done this 1,000,000 times before, one council member whispered. Because they have, Commander Vex said from his position at the edge of the chamber. I tried to warn you. Tarn turned to face him. Commander Vex, tell us everything you know about these humans. Vex stepped forward. After the first encounter, I accessed our long-range observation data. The humans come from a planet called Earth. It is a death world. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Death worlds were rare. Planets so hostile that only the strongest species could survive. Their gravity is 30% higher than ours, Vex continued. Their atmosphere has poisonous levels of oxygen. Their planet has extreme weather, deadly predators, and limited resources. They evolved by fighting everything around them, including each other. How long have they been in space? Another council member asked. Less than 300 cycles. But in that time, they have fought 17 major wars among themselves. They have built thousands of warships. Every human learns combat tactics. Every ship is designed to survive and destroy. They are not peaceful explorers, Council. They are warriors who learn to reach the stars. The chamber fell silent again. Finally, Tarn spoke. What do you recommend, Commander? Peace, Vex said immediately. We must make peace before they decide we are a threat. They have already killed hundreds of our people. Because we fired first. Vex shouted and controlled himself. Both times Council leader. We initiated combat. They responded with overwhelming force, but they also tried to communicate. After the second battle, they sent peace messages. They are willing to talk. Tarn looked at the frozen hologram of a human warship. Can we defeat them if we choose war? No, Vex said flatly. We have 500 ships in our entire fleet. They have thousands. And even if we had equal numbers, we would lose. They have been perfecting the art of war for their entire existence. We have been at peace for centuries. We are not ready for an enemy like this. Another long silence. Then we make peace, Tarn decided. Commander Vex, you are promoted to ambassador. You will make contact with these humans. You will negotiate a treaty. And you will make them understand that we mean no harm. Vex bowed his head. I will do my best, Council leader. 2 weeks later, Vex stood in a neutral space station that had been hastily constructed between human and collective territory. His hearts were beating fast. Through the airlock, he could see a human approaching Dot. It was Captain Blake. The human was shorter than Vex, but moved with confidence. He wore a dark uniform with metal symbols on his chest. His face was weathered, but his eyes were kind. Ambassador Vex, Blake said, extending his hand. I'm Captain Blake. I believe we've met before, though the circumstances were less friendly. Vex carefully took the human's hand, mimicking the greeting gesture he had studied. Captain Blake, I must apologize for our first meeting. My people made a terrible mistake. Your people made an assumption, Blake said, leading Vex into a meeting room. You saw a single ship and thought it was weak. You're not the first to make that mistake, and you probably won't be the last. They sat across from each other at a simple table. Vex noticed that Blake came alone, without guards. You are not afraid? Vex asked. Should I be? I represent the civilization that attacked yours twice. Blake smiled slightly. Ambassador, my ship destroyed 3 of yours in the first encounter, and 10 in the second. If anyone should be afraid, It's probably you. Vex's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his people. That is a fair point, Captain. Let me be honest with you, Blake said, leaning forward. Humanity doesn't want war. We've had enough war to last us 1,000 lifetimes. We fight among ourselves. We fight for resources. We fight over ideas. We're tired of it. When we reach the stars, we hope to find peace out here. Then why are your ships so heavily armed? Because hope isn't a strategy, Blake replied. We want peace, but we're ready for war. It's the only way we've survived. On Earth, everything wanted to kill us. The weather, the animals, the diseases, even other humans. We learned to be prepared for anything. Vex processed this information. So humans are warriors seeking peace? We're survivors seeking a future, Blake corrected. There's a difference. We don't love war, Ambassador. We're just very good at it when we have no choice. Over the next 6 hours they talked. Vex explained the collective's history, their peaceful expansion, their shock at encountering a species like humanity. Blake explained Earth's brutal history, the constant struggles, and humanity's desperate hope for something better among the stars. Finally, they drafted a treaty. The terms were simple: no more hostilities, open communication, and mutual respect for territory. Both sides would exchange ambassadors and begin cultural learning. There is one more thing, Vex said hesitantly. The collective wishes to share information about humans with other species in this region. They need to know that humans should not be threatened. Asterisk, you mean you want to warn them? Blake said with a slight smile. Yes, Vex admitted. You are the most dangerous species we have ever encountered, Captain. Others should know to approach you with respect, not aggression. Blake considered this. That's fair. But make sure they also know we're open to friendship. We may be dangerous, but we're also loyal allies. I will tell them, Vex promised. They stood and shook hands again. This time, the gesture felt natural. Ambassador Vex, Blake said, I think this is the beginning of a good friendship between our peoples. I hope so. Captain Blake, I truly hope so. 3 months later, Captain Blake stood on the bridge of the Iron Wolf. Through the view screen, he could see a collective science vessel traveling beside them. They were escorting it through human space to Earth, where it would meet with human leaders. Sir, we're receiving a message from Ambassador Vex, the communication officer announced. Asterisk. Put him on. Vex's image appeared on the screen. Captain Blake, I wanted to thank you again for the escort. My people are excited to visit your homeworld. It's our pleasure, Ambassador. Though I should warn you, Earth is as dangerous as they say. Even our own people struggle with the gravity and atmosphere. Vex's mandibles clicked in amusement. I have been training, Captain. I am prepared. Blake smiled. I'm sure you are. Oh, and Ambassador? Thank you. For what? For giving peace a chance. A lot of species would have kept fighting. A lot of species are not as wise as the collective, Vex replied. We learned our lesson, Captain. Never underestimate the humans. And we learned ours, Blake said. Never assume that strength means you have to fight. The communication ended. Blake turned to his crew. Helm, take us to Earth. Let's show our new friends what humanity is really about. The Iron Wolf and its escort ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading toward the blue planet that had spawned the most dangerous species in known space. A species that had learned to reach for the stars not through peace, but through surviving 10,000 years of war. A species that now, finally, had a chance to build something better. Humanity had made first contact, and this time they had made a friend. The end, asterisk.